Hello, I'm live. I am live with the word, with the prophetic word for you, for you. And I know how this notification stuff works. I know it's gonna take. I know it's gonna take a minute. And but what God has given me is only gonna take. It's gonna take 7 minutes or less. Come on in. Come on in. State where you're coming in from. What God has given me, what God has given me, what God has spoken unto me, it's gonna take less than 7 minutes. Come on in, state where you're coming in from. State where you're coming in from. And when you come in, when you come in, put in the comment, it's over. When you come in, put in the comment, it's over. When you come in, put in the comment, it's over. God has given me a prophetic word. And so I'm going to wait till everyone assemble. God bless you. God bless you, Catherine. God bless you, Canada. Oh, Canada. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Come on in. Come on in. Yeah, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's done. And when something is over, that means it's done. When something is over, that means that it's not talking no more. It's silent. It's silent. And it's silent. So put in the comments. Put in the comments when you come in, it's over. Put in the comments, it's over. And come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Give me a few more minutes and I'm going to. There's a dream, close eye, open eye dream, revelation that God revealed to me. And what it is that many of you that listen to me, you've been in the holding pattern. You've been waiting. You've been in the holding pattern. You've been waiting. You've been waiting. And in this place where you've been waiting, you've been in limbo. And in this place where you've been waiting, you've been in limbo, you've been uncomfortable. See, because at this place, because this thing is, there's something that's been holding you. It has been holding you and will not let you go. Will not let you go. And this is what I see. This is what I see. This is what I see. I saw, it's like a airplane. When airplanes, and see, I used to work for Delta. When airplanes begin to come into a descend into the airport, whatever airport it is, they have to get clearance. They have to get clearance from the controller. They have to get clearance from the controller. And what the controller will do, there's certain flashes. There's certain flashes that the controller will give the plane that's trying to land, and what the controller is saying, not yet. And so many of you you've been getting this flash when you've been thinking it's time that is God, that it's time to move, that is over, that you've been released. But then God say not yet. And it feels like, many of you, it feels like something has been holding you. It feels like something has been pressing you down. It's been holding you. And so, but I have good news to tell you. I have good news to tell you and see the thing about it with that plane also. And so when the controllers say not yet, but then when it's time to land, that controller will flash its lights in a way, and what the controller is saying is time to land. And so in other words, what happens when the controller tells them to not yet, what happens, they get in a holding pattern. And in that holding pattern, they have to circle around the airport constantly. And a lot of times it's because of those other aircrafts, other planes. And so they have to hold, because if they land too fast or if they land without clearance, then they run the risk of running into another airplane and having a disaster. And so many of you, this is why God has said not yet, because there were certain things that you was headed for a head-on collision with. But that's why he said not yet, because he was holding back certain things, because there was a timetable that was attached to what he had for you. Hear what I'm saying? And so God, that's why he said not yet. And so what God was doing, God was holding back certain things. He was holding back certain things and making sure certain things develop first. And once those things develop first and pleasing in his mind and thought, and he feels as though you're ready to receive this particular thing, then he's going to release it. And so just like with the controller, and when he released and said not yet, but then when he released and says it's time to land, then that plane will begin to go in after the holding pattern. And the word, how many, I got 2 more minutes. The word that God spoke to me is that the suspension is over. Many of you, you've been suspended from something. You've been under suspension. You've been under suspension, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And you've been praying, you've been asking God to deliver you. You've been praying and asking God to make things right. You've been praying and asked God to show grace and show mercy. And so you've been praying, and all this time you've been praying, all this time you've been praying and seeking God. But I was going to let you know God has released you. He has released you from that thing that was holding you. And so there was a certain period of time that you had to go through that certain suspension. And so that suspension was a thing where there are certain things in your life had to develop. There's a certain type of love that was in you that had to develop. And so that's why you had to break up. And so you had to break up, then you had to be alone for a while. And so in that time when you break up, you had to be alone for a while. That is the place where you had to learn yourself. You had to learn yourself and learn who you were and pamper yourself. And so for many years you've taken care of everybody, you pampered everybody. And so God created this scenario. And so you thought it was horrible, the breakup. You thought it was horrible, but actually it was a blessing. And so you thought it was bondage, but actually this breakup was a suspension being released. And so in other words, now that you've heard God, now you'll be able to receive what God has for you. And so I can see his hand letting you go. I can see his hand letting that blessing go. I can see his hand removing and causing you to land. And so now in the next 7 days, get ready. And some of you is going to receive something that you've been praying for. Hello, how y'all doing? That you've been asking, that you've been believing God for. Now check this out. Now Nehemiah in the Bible, and he had a heart for God. And his heart was to repair and to rebuild God's kingdom, God's house. And so God's house was destroyed because there was in captivity because Israel had done evil. And God was tired. But then there come Nehemiah. And so Nehemiah had a heart that he wanted to rebuild it back. And so the king gave him a timetable, 52 days to rebuild it. And so many of you have been given a timetable. And so, but now God said the timetable is over. The timetable has been lifted. And so now you're going to find that what you've been struggling for, what's been difficult, it's going to become easy. What you've been praying for, it's going to be easy. And so what's happening, your prayers and your fruit has come to harvest. It's come to harvest. This is going to be a part 2, but I got to go, just like I said, 7 minutes. But just know that your suspension is over. There's going to come a newness. God is doing a new thing. And there's certain things that he was holding. So, but now it's over. It's over. And so now the suspension is over. And so now it's time to get your job. So now it's time to get your breakthrough. And so now it's time to get your marriage back. And so now it's time for your family to come back, for your heart's desire to come back. And so God heard your cry. Not only he heard your cry, he saw you crying. He saw your tears, and he bottled those tears up. He bottled them up, and there was a Jewish custom. And in this Jewish custom, when they cried, they took the tears. And they put them in this thing, and they put them under the grave. And what it was symbolic of their tears crying out. And so symbolically in the ground, many of you have been crying out from the ground. You've been crying it out. And so, but God heard your tears, and he saw your tears, and he's going to respond to your cry. Just like I said, hear what I'm saying? 7 days, in 7 days, God is going to move in a way. And so promotion. This is the word that I hear for some of you, promotion. God is elevating you. Somebody put in the comment promotion. Somebody put in the comment promotion. God is going to promote. God is bringing promotion. And so the promotion came from your humility. Because you humbled yourself. Because you said, God, I surrender. And because you said, I'll do it your way now. I'm tired of trying to do it my way. And so, and because of that, God is caused and God has created that promotion. And see, the thing about you can understand, promotion don't come from the east or west, but it comes from God. Promotion comes from God. And God is doing it, not man. Matter of fact, God removed the man. See, there was a man that was trying to get the credit, and there was a man that was in the way, but God moved that hand of the man. And there's another one here that I'm talking to, the suspension. And some of you, you're gifted, you're anointed, and you have a gift. And so what happened is, it seems like God was blocking, and see what was happening. There were people around you that was trying to proselyte your gift. There were people around you that was trying to use you. They were trying to take advantage of you. They were trying to use your gift for money, use your gift for witchcraft. See, but God blocked them. God blocked them all. And so, but God taught you. And see also the reason why God held you back, because God had to protect you. He had to protect your eyes. He had to protect your eyes and your spirit from the mess. He had to protect your eyes and your spirit from the sin and the wickedness of the people or your predecessors or the people that was before you. And so, but some of you, you're like Samuel. You're like Samuel and who was it? You're like Samuel and the priest Eli. And see, God is calling you. But the priest is in the house. But God is calling you for a word, for that priest that has not listened. God has been speaking to him, but this priest has kept on turning his back. And so now God has removed his spirit from that one. And so there's some of you, God's going to use you as a voice of judgment. God's going to use you as a voice of judgment in this day and time. He's going to use you as a voice of judgment because, just like I said, in harvest time, there's two things that happens. There is a separation where the tares are separated and burned, but then the wheat are gathered to be used. And so this was happening. And so many of you, you're going through a separation. You're experiencing something very difficult. You're experiencing something very bad, and very emotional. But just know, don't allow your emotions to talk to you. And do not allow your emotions to deceive you. See, because this breakup, this move is of God. See, because what God was doing, God was removing things that had tied itself to you. Demons, witchcraft, ungodly soul ties, generation curses. And see, the shake, and the cutting and the move was for to cut that off. And see, because just like with Joshua, when Joshua going into his promised land, he had to take off something. He had to take off his shoes, and his shoes represented Egypt. His shoes represented bondage, and his shoes represented defeat. And so what God is doing, God is removing everything that represented defeat. He's removing everything that represented pain. He's removing everything that represented destruction. And so what he's doing, he's removing it, he's plucking it out. And he's plucking it out that he might refill you, and that he might cause what's in you to be released, and that you might walk into the place that God has for you. And see, many of you have been stuck, and see the enemy has held you in a certain place. And see, he held you in that certain place because in your spirit, man, God was calling you to a certain place. And see, in your spirit, you knew God was calling you. And you knew you had a blessing. You knew you had a blessing. And so you was frustrated because you were trying to get there, but you couldn't get there. You couldn't get there because of a situation. You couldn't get there because of a financial situation. You couldn't get there. See, God knew that. God knew your heart, and he saw your cry. And so what God did, God created a diversion. And in that diversion that he created, it was painful and it was bad. See, but in the end, you're going to be glad. See, because the Bible said that the blessings of the Lord maketh you rich, but it will not add no sorrow. And see, the thing about the difference between the curse and the blessing, if someone gives you a counterfeit blessing, and it's just like, for an example, a car, if they buy your car, but they give you the payment book. That's not a blessing. That's bondage. But a blessing is when someone buys your car and take the payment, and take the car payment. And so, see, some of you, God is going to bless you in a way. God is going to supernaturally bless you in a way. Ain't going to be no sorrow, ain't going to be no but joy. Not only joy is coming, not only joy is coming from this blessing, but fullness of joy. Matter of fact, God is refilling some of your joy. See, because your joy has been low. See, but God is going to gather and pick your joy up. He is going to, matter of fact, God is going to shock you. God is going to shock you in a way that is going to quicken you, and it's going to cause you to forget what you're dealing with. He's going to matter of fact, God's going to snatch you out of your situation. He's going to snatch you out of that pain. Matter of fact, God is going to give you what's that word? A catapult. A catapult experience. And a catapult experience is when you, in your present condition and what you're dealing with, where God will take you in the spirit and snatch and take you away into the future and show you victory and show you what he's going to do and what he's preparing for, then bring you back. And so what God is going to give you a catapult experience. God's going to give you a catapult, and he's going to take you away. He's going to snatch you out of that situation and give you strength, then snatch you and put you back. And then you're going to be fortified to fight. And see, some of you, this thing that you're facing, you can't run from it. God ain't going to move it. God wants you to face it, because this mountain is your blessing. This mountain, it look big, but it's your breakthrough. It's your breakthrough. It's your breakthrough. It's your breakthrough. It's what God has for you. See, because the Bible said that the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, in the world they that dwell therein. The cattle upon the hill is here. And see, all you have to do is look to the hills. And see, because your blessing is in the hills. Your blessing is in the high place. God's got your blessing is in a high place. And so God is saying, stop looking down, but begin to look up, because your blessing is in your high place. Your blessings when you look up. God got your blessing in your face right before your eyes. As a matter of fact, your blessing is watching you. Somebody put in the comment, my blessing, I'm walking. Somebody put in the comment, my blessing is watching me. My blessing. And so I know I went over a little longer. My apologies. But just know your blessing is watching you. And breakthroughs are coming. And just like God said, your suspension, what was holding you, those chains, what had you handcuffed, what had you bound, what had you quiet, what had you silent, what had you muzzled, whatever it was that had you, that did it to you, just suspend it. Pray for me. God bless you.